everybody. I am Saipreet here to introduce our day's guest, Ms.Geeta Ramanujam. I request ma'am to occupy the chair on the dais. Knowledge is power, but enthusiasm pulls the switch. Ms. Geeta Ramanujam, besides being an internationally renowned storyteller, is an educator, academician, and administrator. Ms. Geeta is an Ashoka Fellow, an internationally acclaimed fellowship given for outstanding work in the social service field. She is the executive director of Kathalaya Trust, established in 1998, which is the culmination of her vision and wisdom. Ms. Geeta uses storytelling as an effective educational and cultural tool in many leading educations in India and abroad. Ms. Geeta's experience in this area spans over a quarter of a century. In 2006, she set up the Academy of Storytelling, the only global academy in the world which regularly runs certificate courses for professionals in any field, parents and school teachers. About 16,240 people have undergone these training programs. She is the Indian coordinator of the International Storytelling Network around the world. Let's welcome ma'am with a huge round of applause. I request ma'am to take over.
Namaste. Namaste. How are you all today? Fine. Yeah, you look very energetic and happy. Children should be happy, right? Yes. Good. Good. Do you also have something called courage? Yes. You're courageous? Yes. From where does courage come from? Who gives you courage? Huh? Parents, very good. Do parents give you courage? No? Yes, some do, some don't. No? Some parents say, go ahead. Huh? Some people say, no. Right? Some are cautious, correct? But who decides whether to be courageous or not finally? Huh? Ourselves. Very good. I like that. It comes from your heart. And something inside you tells you, don't be afraid. Isn't it? Don't be afraid. Yeah? Go ahead. March ahead. Yes? Yes. Good. And who gave that courage to Gandhiji? To go ahead. To keep going. Himself. Very good. And to a certain extent, his parents also. Isn't it? His father and his mother. Mother was a very strong woman. She gave him a lot of courage. And she said, use something called Vivekam. What is Vivekam? Think and do, to discriminate, right? How to discriminate or how to find out what is right and what is not right. Yeah. So many times we use our own feelings. We use our own intuitive thoughts. Isn't it? Intuition is so important for it. So recently, yesterday I was reading about Gandhiji. And every time you read, you discover something new, isn't it? Don't you learn when you read? How many of you here read? I want the truth. Oh, good. So I also read. I see that I read at least one page a day. If I haven't read, it's for me like not having had dinner. For me, it's very important that I read at least one page. So what I've also done is, I've done my own bookmarks. You all are so good with your drawing skills. I saw all your paintings and artwork. So why don't you make your own bookmark? You make your own bookmark. and you take one book, and after you read 1 or 2 pages, what do you put? Bookmark. When you finish that book, you write behind that bookmark the title of that book. Keep the backside vacant. Write the title. Then when you take a new book, will you make another bookmark? Yes. See how many bookmarks you have made in a year. That way you will know how many books you have read. Yeah? So sometimes when I forget, because I am also getting a little old, no? I go back and see. I also write the year. From the time I was little, how many bookmarks I have. And I feel very proud. One of them who encouraged me to read was also my father and my mother. My mother today, she is 85 years old. She reads more than me. Sometimes she tells me that you are not reading enough. So reading helps a lot for knowledge, isn't it? Gandhiji was also a voracious reader. So last evening, I was reading something about Gandhiji. And we know about Gandhiji, right? He stood for truth. His motto in life was Satyameva Jayate. I am sure you have heard everything. Now Gandhiji, when he was young, he had a brother whose name was Harilal. And Harilal was just the opposite of Gandhiji. Did you know that? No. So, can two brothers be different from each other? Yes, they can be. Whatever Gandhiji stood for, which came from his inner self, Harilal was just the opposite. Harilal would always tell a lie. Whenever his father asked him anything, he will tell a wrong answer. And then Gandhiji never borrowed money, but Harilal always borrowed money. So now one day, Harilal came to Gandhiji and said, what was his name before he became Gandhiji? Mohandas. You remember? Okay, so Karamchand was his surname, right? Gandhi and Karamchand was his surname. What was his name at home? But his father used to call him, you know what his father used to call him? Huh? Bapu? No, that became his later name. Okay, I will tell you something, because his name was Monia. Mohandas. So his father would always say, Monia, au. Monia, au na. And Monia used to love it. Gandhiji used to love it when his father called him like that. And also, his father trusted our Monia very much, because Monia always spoke the truth. Now one day Harilal came running and he told, hey Monia, help ya, bachao. Monia asked, why are you panting and puffing? He said, I borrowed so much money, they are all chasing me, I have to give back that money, help! Now Monia said, calm, quiet, I will try and find a way. But you know, he can't ask his father, because his father doesn't have so much money. Now he slowly opened the cupboard. His father was not feeling well and he was lying down in bed. And when he opened that cupboard slowly, it was an old wooden cupboard. It made a lot of noise. So he had to open it very slowly. And when he peeped inside, he saw there was only one gold jewelry, which was a gold amulet. You know what's an amulet? Like the bangle. It's like a bangle with a lock. That was the only gold his father had. And because Harilal had borrowed so much money, the only way to repay the debt would be to sell that amulet. So slowly Gandhiji took that amulet, put it in his pocket, closed the door. Now he went out. His father asked, Monia, jau che? He says, yes, I'll come back soon. So Gandhiji went out. And what did he do? Sold the amulet. In those days, there were a lot of pawnbrokers, no? They always pawned the jewel. So he took that jewel and gave money to Gandhiji. Gandhiji called Harilal. Harilal said, hey, thank you, yeah. Harilal didn't have any problem. Went and gave off that money. Now Gandhiji's heart, when he was returning home, went labdab, 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 labdab. He was not feeling very comfortable. So he came back home. His father was in the bed, coughing. The doctor said that his father should not be disturbed. Gandhiji didn't want to tell his father anything. So what did he write? A small note, folded that paper, kept it under the pillow near the bed. His father felt something. He took that paper and he read. You know, one thing Gandhiji was very famous for was to be very direct. When people asked him later on in life, how did you do such a long walk to that Dandi march, no? To make salt. So much you walked. How, sir, did you walk? He said, I walked, that's all. When you have to walk, you walk. So what did he write in that letter? Only 3 words. I took the amulet. I sold it. Sorry. That's it. And now his father understood his monia. And he called him. And Gandhiji stood before his father. And he said, Monia, look at me. He said, whenever you speak the truth, you have to look into people's eyes. Only those who don't speak the truth have to put down their heads. Now you have spoken the truth. So look at me, he said. So he looked at his father. And his father said, always be like this. Thank you for your honesty. I am very proud of you, said his father. Don't worry about that amulet. You have told, you have spoken the truth. So that was the greatest message that Gandhiji got. Because his father didn't shout at him, didn't tell him why you took it. And he just said, always be truthful and courageous, right? So truth has a great gift. You can look at people in the eye when you are speaking the truth. So one of the things as a storyteller or a public speaker, one quality that you must have is to look into people's, which is to have eye contact. If you don't have eye contact, that story is not going to be successful, right? So always have eye contact. And now, usually what stories do is it triggers something, isn't it? Were you imagining Gandhiji near his father's bed? Yes. Were you picturizing how he took that amulet from the cupboard? Yeah. You see everything as visuals, no? Because a storyteller helps the listeners to see the story. Are you just listening to my story? No. You are also imagining. And so a storyteller should not say, once upon a time there was a person called Gandhiji, and Gandhiji had a brother whose name was Harilal, and Harilal came one day and told Gandhiji that, you know what, I've stolen so much money, you only must help me. And so Gandhiji went and he sold the amulet, and then he gave the money to the Harilal and went to his father and said, I'm sorry father, but through a letter. And then father said, you know, you must be truthful from today. Is there a difference? What am I doing? There's a diary of words, no? Yeah. Am I helping you to see the story? Yeah? Yes. Okay. So now it also triggers something, isn't it? What does it trigger? Something about me. So when I was young, I went to a school called the Little Angels High School. And you know what my fees was? 20 rupees for a year. For a whole year, the fee I had to pay, and this was in a place in Bombay, where my fees was 20 rupees. Now I'll tell you actual fees how much it was. For 1 month, my fees was 1 rupee. So for 12 months, how much is it? 12 rupees. Now, how much out of 20 rupees, 12 rupees goes means how much is remain? 8 rupees was our deposit for the whole year. So 8 rupees was our deposit money, and the money for the fees was 1 rupee. So altogether 20 rupees. Now people said if you pay 20 rupees at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year also, it was fine. But we had to give the money in the beginning of the year. So now my mother, she told me that, see, I am giving you 20 rupees. You please go to the school and pay the money. And my mother was a very strict mother. She will always say, I am going to speak to you, you better listen. If I am looking here or there, she will give one pat. In those days, no human rights, child rights and all. She will only give one answer, tap. Why aren't you looking at me when I am talking to you? So I will look at my mother. She will say, listen, I am giving you 20 rupees. I am keeping it in the side zip of your bag. Go and pay the money. So what did I tell my mother? She said, see here, there's a zip, okay, I've kept the money. 2 10-rupee notes. And then she also kept my fee card. It was pink in color. Every time when you pay the fees, they will fill the card and give. So she said, get the card filled and come home, okay? Then I went, I had one little brother and I had a little sister. So I held my brother's hand, he was so tiny. Whatever I ask him to do, he will do. If I say hold my hand, if I say walk with me, my sister was also very sweet. So both of us went, we used to go in a double-decker bus. You know what is a double-decker bus? Okay. So I used to love to go up and sit down. But that day, my brother and sister sat down. I didn't get a place to sit. And I had my bag. I had my school bag with a side zip. Now, I went in the bus. A lot of rush in the bus. Some people pushed, some people pulled. Sometimes it happens, no, in the buses. Then after some time, my stop came. And we got down. And then my brother and my sister, we had to cross two big roads. So we crossed the two roads and went to the other side. And then my brother's school was nearby, because nursery school was nearby, ours was a high school. So I told my brother, Tata. He went to his school. Then my sister and I went to this school. My sister went to her class. I came near the fee counter. And then I was about to open the zip. But the zip was already not open. So I opened the zip and I put my hand. There was no money. But the card was there, the fee card was there. But 2 20 rupees, 2 10 rupee notes. So I searched. Started crying. Then the teacher in the counter, that person who was sitting in the office, right? He said, what? Why are you crying? My mummy gave me 2 10 rupees, not there. And now he said, don't cry. Now go to class, bring it tomorrow. Then I asked him, will you fill the card and give? He said, how can I fill the card without you paying the without you paying the money? No, bring the money tomorrow. My mother will shout at me. Don't cry, go to class. I went to class. My class teacher came and said, don't worry, it will be fine. But then I went through the whole day school, went back to my house. Then my mother came, first thing, I took out my shoes and socks and my mother came to me. Now, I didn't tell you something. That zip was closed. How come that money was missing, tell me? The zip was closed, no? Huh? Pocket picker.
Your mother didn't even keep the money.
Oh, you no, she kept the money. She showed me and kept the money. Huh? Was there a hole? No. The bag was a new bag. Pickpocket. So how do you think he pickpocketed it? You think he would have opened the zip? How did the money go? Someone from the back, how do you think the money went? How do you think the money went? Yes? Yes, someone said. Huh? One person. The bag has changed. No, it was my bag only. Huh? Yeah. You know what? Somebody had taken a blade and nicely slit the side. There was a slit. You know what's a slit, right? And they had made a nice cut and taken the money. So my bag had a light cut. Now, there were two things. What will my mother say because it's a new bag? And what will my mother say when I say I didn't pay the money? So I was so scared of my mother. When I went back home, she said, "Did you pay the fees?" I said, "Where's the fee card?" "But it's not filled." She forgot. Who forgot? That person in the counter forgot. She told me, she looked into my eyes. After you gave the money, she forgot to fill? Huh? Now tell me the truth. Did she forget? You didn't pay the fees. After telling you so much, you didn't pay the fees. Pat, she gave. Why you didn't pay the fees? Pat. Ah. Show me your bag. Why is it cut? I don't know. What happened? Tell me the truth. He said, I went in the bus and then I went to the fee counter. No money was there. Ah, why didn't you tell me that first? Because you'll shout. I won't have hit you, no. Does it pain? Is it paining? Then she said, if you had told me the truth, I wouldn't have beaten you. It's not your fault. Go, wash your face. I have the milk ready for you. Felt so good, no? But I know my father, he had saved that money. It was so important because that 20 rupees, he had walked to his office every day for 20 days to save the 20 rupees for me, which I knew only much later. How that hard earned money, isn't it? But you know what my father did? Next day was my birthday. And I remember this because he said, your birthday comes in the same month as Gandhiji's birthday, which is October 2nd. So the next day for my birthday, I got one lovely gift. And I opened that gift, and that gift was a lovely book. And the book was a comic book about Gandhiji. And he said, for a lovely daughter who spoke the truth. And he gave me this beautiful gift. Of course, it also had a lovely Cadbury's chocolate. And so, this story remained with me. And my father always told me, whatever happens, speak the truth. And now, it was a great lesson to learn for me because whatever happens, when I became a storyteller, one thing I always did is try to speak the truth. The truth about the story. Even though it was, you know, all stories are not true. They are exaggerations, right? But when you are telling a story, where do you tell a story from? Where does, did you like the story first of all?
Yes, ma'am.
You really liked it?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Why did you like it? Why did you like the story? Why did you listen to it? Imagination, okay. Did you only listen because it helps you with imagination? It was interesting, very good. What made it interesting? Expressions, okay. Huh? Because I was speaking the truth, do you like everyone who tells the truth? The story was? The way I said it. Okay. What was the way I said? Is it because I showed action? Is it only that? Will you remember the story? Why will you remember? Huh? Because you learned something. What did you learn? No. Huh? Because it's a moral story, you like it? Is it because of that? Yes. Pardon? Is it because of the value alone that you like the story? Okay. Because you wanted to learn to narrate like me. So what was about the narration by me that you liked? Okay. Where did the story come from? My childhood. Okay. And where does that story, why did it appeal to you? Why did it appeal to you? Okay, how did you listen? Tell me. When you were listening to the story. Only imagining?
Interesting.
Interest. Why did you listen with interest? That's what I wanted to ask. Why did you listen? Because you were curious. That was also wonderful. Because I'm curious to know what happened next. That is one more reason why you listen to a story. You always wonder, isn't it, what happened, right? Yeah. But what else? If you also felt that story, that means your storytelling has been good. So did you all feel it? Yeah. So one of the things that a storyteller needs to do is to transmit the feelings of a story also to another person. Then action expression also not wanted, right? You can use, for different kinds of stories you can use. For instance, I can tell you the story of a crocodile, right? Once upon a time there was a crocodile. And this crocodile was very hungry, and so he was very angry. So the crocodile was hungry and I'm not finding anything to eat, he said. And he came near a huge, big lake. He was walking. And as he came up, he said, I'm going to hide in the mud. Now there was nobody on that lake. So there was a very happy duck. Not duck, it was a hen. And this hen said, hey little hen, when, will you lay me an egg for my tea? This is such a nice lake near Visakhapatnam. I want to go and have some water. And so this hen was saying, there's nobody in the lake. And he came near the lake and he was very happily dancing. Get into your nest,
Do your very best, get it off your chest, I can do the rest.
And that's when the crocodile opened his mouth.
Pak, 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 pak.
Ah!
Hey brother, don't eat me brother.
Huh? Brother?
Pak, 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 pak.
And the hen ran away. Now the crocodile looked and said, she cheated me. Tomorrow I am going to somehow get her. And the crocodile was again very angry and went away. Next day, the crocodile was also thinking. And the crocodile said, I will go so deep that the hen will not. So the crocodile hid deep inside the mud.
Pak, pak. Pak, pak, pak. Pak, pak, pak. Pak, pak. Ayya, nobody is there. Pak, 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 pak.
Was drinking the water.
Ayya, ayya, get into your net, do your very best. Hey, little hen, wait, 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 will you leave me? I'm so happy today. Hey, brother, 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 I told you no, brother, don't eat me.
Again, brother. Hey! Tell me how I'm your brother.
You also legs. I also legs. That we are brother only, no?
And now the crocodile went crazy. And he never got that beautiful hen. So you see, sometimes you have to be very intelligent. You have to know how to answer so that you can, otherwise easily the crocodile would have eaten the hen. Now the crocodile, even though he was a very fierce creature, he felt this hen is very intelligent and I want that friendship, what we call in India as satsang, no? Satsang is very good, to have the company of good people. So next day the crocodile came and the hen said, and the crocodile said, don't go, I am not going to eat you because I like your company. From today I am your best friend. Okay, will you take me as your friend?
Pak, 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 pak.
So he's going to ask you now, she's going to ask you, can she take the crocodile as her friend? No? How many say yes? Oh, that's lovely. Okay, so she said okay to the crocodile, and the crocodile said, have you gone through this lake in Visakhapatnam?
And the hen said no.
And the crocodile said, let me take you around Visakhapatnam. And so got on the back of the crocodile and they saw the whole of the port, Visakhapatnam. So then the crocodile and the hen became very good. Yes? Okay. That's the end of the story. Okay. So, you also need what to tell a story? Intelligence. Good. You need Do you need a good voice? Ah, do you need voice modulations? Yes. And where does his voice come from? Our body only, right? So, the voice of the crocodile comes from the throat. Can you all do that? Ow. I am a lion. Now. Great.
And where does the sound of the hen come? From the nose. So you can make lot of sounds from the nose, right? I can smell children. Quiet!
This is also a nasal sound. Okay? So, try and see if you can observe lot of animals and birds when you want to make a sound. Okay? I think I told you some of the features that one can use as a good storyteller. Okay, I want to conclude with, remember how I started? What you need? Courage. So my mother and my father, like Gandhiji's parents, always said, have. So you know what? You know how far the Amazon forest is from here, from India? Do you have any idea? Okay, you have to travel for 36 hours. 36 hours by a flight. So I had to take 3 flights because I had a festival in a place called Sao Paulo, which is in Brazil. Where is Brazil? Amazon forest, very good. So when I was called for a story festival, I decided that I must go and visit the Amazon forest. And the Amazon forest, you know, they say it has the anaconda, it has the cappuccino monkeys, it has different kinds of animals. So now you have the Google, isn't it? So I Googled, I found a place, and after the festival, I decided to take a flight and go and stay in the Amazon forest. And when I went, I was taken by a boat for 4 hours. It was called a cruise. I was taken to an island, and this island was surrounded by the sea. And there was no electricity. And on this island, there were 10 cottages. We were 10 people who went from different countries. And I was the only Indian woman to go there. So that man looked at me and he said, "You are an Indian?" I said, "Yes." "And you've traveled alone?" And I said, "Yes." He was surprised. And he said, "I'm going to give you the best cottage." So he gave me a cottage, and the name of the cottage was Anaconda. So I got into this cottage, and it was no electricity. So everything was during the day. So they used to wake us up at 5 in the morning, take us on long treks across the Amazon forest. Now 8 of us, 10 of us, we took our backpacks, we put our shoes, and we trekked through the forest. And in the forest, I learnt so many things. So there were 108 varieties of monkeys. And there was a monkey variety called the cappuccino monkeys. You know from where we get the coffee name, cappuccino. They are called cappuccino monkeys. Now these cappuccino monkeys are wild. There is no tamed monkey. So the man who was taking us, he was very well trained. He said to all of us, "Don't talk when you are going through the forest. You will be disturbing the animals and birds. If you want to ask me any question, just tap me on my shoulder. And don't do anything without my permission. And we all said, okay. Now, when we were going through, he said, there are wild monkeys, don't feed them or don't take pictures. So we said, okay. Then he showed us social spiders, he showed us big tortoise, which belonged only to the Amazon region. They were beautiful, the 5-colored parrots that were flying. Now, as I was going, we all stood under a tree and there was one long spider monkey. And the spider monkeys looked just like human beings with long arms. So one spider monkey suddenly came and sat on my shoulder. And there was one Japanese guy who took his camera to click. And that man who was a guide, he said, don't click any photographs. And this spider monkey sat and he told me, madam, don't move. Inside my stomach, I was feeling, but this monkey was happily sitting on my shoulder. Then he gave the monkey one banana. The monkey took the banana, opened the banana, and threw it off. Then it didn't move at all. And all the others were watching. Then one kutti monkey came. One small monkey. And that monkey was her daughter. So that monkey came and sat on the left shoulder. And both of them started talking to each other. Now again I didn't move at all. So there was one burden here and there was one heavy thing sitting on the left shoulder and I stood like that. Then after 5 minutes, this mother monkey, she slowly removed her hand and there was a tree. She climbed on that tree. The little one saw the mother and quickly jumped off. And she also climbed the tree. And he said, good, you are very brave. Because if you had moved, then the monkeys would have attacked. But when you don't move, the monkeys don't attack you. So you see, at that moment again I thought of my parents who always said, have courage. Okay? So I just wanted to tell you that it's such a wonderful experience when you have courage, when you have truth, and when you can see people in the eye, especially when you're a storyteller. Yes? Thank you so much. How many of you travel here? Do you travel with your parents? Good. Please write down notes when you travel. Write down your feelings. You know, they make very good stories. Travel always widens the horizon, right? I started doing is telling history through stories. So I would ask children, how long did you think Akbar took to dress up? What was the weight of his sword? What did Akbar have for breakfast? And children got very interested, isn't it? So I told them, find out. When they got interested and when they knew that these great characters were also human beings like us, I said they were all like us only. Maybe Akbar didn't eat idli. He must have had poha. He must have had something else, right? Which was a local food at that time. So now, after that, when I told them that Akbar became a great person, they became interested in history. So when I was telling them these stories, there was one person who said, why don't you take care of the library because you are reading so much. So then they gave me the charge of the library. Again, children were returning the books without reading. So I thought, how do I get children interested in reading? So I would say there was a man and he was a very ferocious person. And he was the hero of this book. And he hated a lot of things. He always loved the dark. And he walked and walked and walked one night into the darkness, and there, and the bell would ring, dang. And they'll say, tell us the rest of the story. And I'll say, if you read the book from page 38, you will get the rest of the story. Because it was a story about Heathcliff from the book called Wuthering Heights. And since children were not reading, all the children rushed and they started reading from page 38. And they got the rest of the story. So I thought the best way to get children interested in reading was to tell them the story and not tell them the whole story. And now there was one man who was watching this and said, Madam, why don't you have a workshop in the city? A workshop on storytelling. This was in 1996. Nobody had even heard of storytelling. So in 96, I had the first summer camp on storytelling. And there was one man who sent his little child. And that man was the regional manager of the newspaper called Times of India. So next day, he wrote a column in the newspaper saying, there are sounds coming from the room. And you know who is creating these sounds? If you want to know, it's a new profession called storytelling. And you can contact this person. So here, my phone rang and it has not stopped ringing from that day. And that's how I became a storyteller. Yes? So thank you for asking me that question. Thank you. About monkeys, nothing. I'm not scared. I used to think when I see the monkey, I should run away. But after going to Amazon, when I saw monkeys also like you only, no? We all came out from monkeys only, no? But if you don't do anything, then they just pass. But best is not to carry anything, right? I was not carrying anything when I was there. That's why I think they didn't harm you. That's why when the Japanese person started removing his camera, that man said, don't take pictures because then the monkeys will get threatened, isn't it? How is the experience? How many years? Actually 39 years. Okay, since I was a teacher till today. So 39 years of telling stories. Quite a long time, right? How do you feel? How do I feel when I tell a story? If in the audience everyone is not interested, then I lose my energy. But when the audience are interested, then I get more energy. Yeah, so that's how I feel when I tell my story. I feel good. Both of them came to my storytelling course. Now they have got the first prize in storytelling from their schools, and they are starting in their schools storytelling for the children. The boy and the girl have started their own clubs in their schools for storytelling. And they have traveled also, because I also offer a diploma course which has project. So now this girl, she went to Kerala, she did a lot of research in storytelling. She gave and submitted one big thesis on storytelling, and she got the first world award for storytelling from Switzerland. She recently went to Switzerland. She told about the storytelling and how important it is, and that she's going to introduce it as a profession in her school. So you see, you can be a great storyteller, you can also take it as a profession. So it has a lot of meaning today, because a lot of now people do theatre, people do so many things, right? So storytelling can also become a very good profession. And it's very paying, it's not only science and maths. Storytelling also can be very good as a payment. People pay quite well. There's storytelling for corporate people today. There is a post in Infosys, Dell and in Wipro companies where they have created a post called Chief Story Officers. So you have Chief Story Officers post now created in corporate companies. Yeah, so please think about taking it also as a profession. Thanks for asking. Yes? Oh, lots. I've got lots of awards. I've got the Best Storytellers Award from Brazil. I got the Best Storytellers Award called the Bangalore Hero Award from Bangalore, Karnataka. I've also got the Ashoka Fellow Award. So like that I've got Karnataka Child Women's Welfare Award. Awards don't matter actually. What matters is that you love your profession. But it was a great support to carry on. Yeah? Yes? Thank you. Thank you. How did I feel when I went to Amazon forest? Yeah. So, my husband is also very supportive, and my daughter also is. So, I told both of them I want to travel to Amazon. My husband said, I am scared. I am afraid to go. But if you want to go, you please go. So, I felt very encouraged when he said that. My mother, who is 85, said, go ahead. And so I wrote to them, and since I was the only woman traveling, I was wondering how I am going to live without electricity, how I am going to stay without cell phone, without any contact. But those 7 days that I spent there were the most memorable days, because it was about silence, it was also connecting with nature. Beautiful flowers, beautiful roots, beautiful new animals and birds. So one day in midnight, they took us in a boat to the middle of the sea. There was no light, only the stars. And along the banks, we could see a lot of diamonds. And he said, don't be afraid, they're all crocodiles. But they don't eat. He said, I will take you back. So I sat there in the middle and I looked at all the diamonds that were shining along the banks of that river. I also saw the diamonds in the sky. It was a beautiful feeling again. It's nice. Anyway, one day you're going to die. But if you're a little smart and if you're a little brave, you don't have to be afraid of anything. So it was another beautiful experience. I think it taught me a lot of courage. Yeah? Yes.
I, Priyanka, take the privilege to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of Sri Prakash Vidyaniketan. It's a great pleasure to have an interaction with Mrs.Geeta Ramanujam. Ma'am, your stories took us to the deep insights of curiosity and joy of storytelling. Thank you, ma'am, for taking us into the world of mesmerizing storytelling. I'm pretty sure that all our Prakashites are inspired through your stories about truth. I thank you once again for telling us about how to be a good storyteller. I thank our school management, our director, sir, for arranging us such a wonderful session. I also thank my fellow Prakashites for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you and have a great day ahead.